everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and 'tis the season, so I'm going to show you how I put together this cute, simple little snowman head cake. And if you see me using any tools or supplies that you could use, check the link in the description below. It should be able to help you out. Now to start, I'm going to be making my cake in a Pyrex dish. I have a whole bunch of the old mixing dishes, and as long as you grease it and flour it, you will be able to bake in it. You just have to put it in a cold oven, so you don't preheat your oven if you're going to be baking in your glass dishes, your old ones, not the ones that are actually made to go in the oven. But if you are, just stick them in the oven while it's still cold, turn the heat on to 350, and let it cook a little bit longer than normal. So there's my cake, came right out. There's a 6-inch to go with it right there. I'm going to clean it up a little bit by taking that top scruffy part off. And I'm also going to cut my bowl cake in half. So I have, kind of a couple layers out of it now. And I'm also going to take a little bit of icing and mark the side going right through the cut in order to be able to put it back together properly. It's just a little trick of the trade I learned a while ago, so that's what I do. That's why I did that. That's why I wiped icing on my finger and then smeared it on the cake. So there's my first layer, the 6-inch cake. I put a nice plop of icing there that I spread around. That's the bottom, or, the top, I guess, technically, of my bowl. There's my little marker that I put on it, and I line it up, and then I have a nice completed shape. And just like any cake now, I'm just going to crumb coat it. So I've got some regular old American buttercream icing. Going to spread it all over the outside of it until I have a nice thin layer. Then I'm going to pop it in the fridge for a little bit just to let it set up. And as you can see, it's not the cleanest edges or anything like that, but it's fine. It'll work. It's not a big deal. So now I've got some more of my buttercream icing, and I put it in a piping bag. I'm using a French star tip because I love my French star tips. I just like how they look. And I am just piping all around the bottom, and I'm going to go over most of the cake. You're going to see in a second. I'm making some layers, of course, as you can see. I'm trying to make it look as nice and neat with my little stars as I can. And I'm not going all the way around. I'm going to end up putting an icing hat on it, so I don't want to cover the whole entire thing with the white icing because it's honestly just kind of a waste, see? So I've got, a good half of it, over half of it covered. And it's at an angle there, and just a little bit around the bottom because I am going to put some fondant around it for a scarf. And I figured you don't want to just eat fondant and a crumb coating. You need some icing there to pad all that fondant. Now I've got a very large star tip, another French star tip here that I'm working with. And I took some of my buttercream icing, colored it red, which made it kind of soft. So I probably should let it sit a little bit longer to set up better. But I'm just making stripes, just stripe, 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 all toward the back, toward the center. My center point is high on the back. It's not quite, on the bottom of it. And I'm putting some more stars, kind of looping its way over around the edge above the top there. So my hat now has a little bit of a border to it. You can see there's where they all come together. I'm just going to put a big old dollop there. And that's my little pom-pom on my hat. And now I'm going to add little spikes to it to make it more pom-pom-ish, pom-pom-rific, whatever you want to say. So there you go. I got my snowman head with a hat, with a pom-pom. Yes, all buttercream icing. Okay, I have some gum paste here. You could use fondant if you want. You just would probably have to, I don't even know if you'd have to add any CMC powder. Maybe you'd want some, I don't know, but I'm using gum paste here, excuse me. I'm putting some indentations just by rolling it along the blade of my knife, as you can see, to make it look more carroty. I have a lollipop stick there that I'm skewering it on, and I did kind of mess up my lines a little bit, but that's okay. Now, I didn't put it in yet. Here is the fondant I mentioned earlier that's going to become my scarf. It's just a real long piece that I rolled out real long. I'm kind of folding the two edges over onto itself, and then I'm going to roll it out again because I wanted it to be longer, and I wanted the top and the bottom to be rounded off. I didn't want them to have just sharp, flat edges, although by the time I'm done with it, it probably was a little bit sharp and flat anyway. But I'm pretending it came out perfect. Now I'm using my little stitch tool there that just puts little stitch imprints on it. And I'm going back and forth, as you can see, up and down, diagonal, diagonal the other way, whatever. Just kind of making a mess of it, trying to give it more of a stitched look to it. So it looks a little bit more fabric-y and less smooth and perfect-y. Chopping up the one end Do the same on the other, and now my scarf has little tassely ends. I have some black gum paste that kind of dried out a little bit, so I'm using that for my coal. I am just breaking off chunks and then smoothing off any jaggedy parts, but leaving it still kind of rough and cracked a little and that kind of thing to make my pieces of coal. I just liked how it looked. I thought it kind of looked a little bit more authentic. Of course, if you don't want it to look rough, you could always use like Hershey Kisses. Just poke the pointy part into the snowman and you'll have perfectly symmetrical, perfectly round Hershey Kisses eyes. You could do the same thing with the mouth if you had like chocolate candies, like Rolos or something like that. There are ways to make it nice and symmetrical and even. I tend to go more rough and tumble on certain things like this. But once you have your pieces, put them all together. Wrap your scarf around his neck so he's nice and cozy. Just tuck in your edges. And there you go. Snowman cake. Very cute, very easy, fun for the holidays. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it does help me out as well. I got a lot of other videos out there, so please take a look, as well as other holiday cakes. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.